Have you ever just had a feeling that there's something more going on than what we see every day? That maybe all the challenges and struggles of life are part of a much bigger story? Well, today we're going to dive into a belief system that says, yes, absolutely. It's a complex cosmic drama called the Arcturian Path, and it promises not just answers, but a way out, a path to total liberation and ascension. So let's get into it.
You know, this search for deeper meaning, it's nothing new. For centuries, you had alchemists trying to turn lead into gold, and they weren't just talking about metal, they were talking about spiritual transformation. Today, that exact same quest is happening all over the internet. People are searching for their own starter packs and guides to figure out the universe, and this ancient search for answers is the perfect way to understand the very modern system we're about to explore.
So if we're all searching, what's the fundamental problem that a system like the Arcturian Path claims to solve? Well, it starts with a pretty dramatic diagnosis of, well, our entire planet and our place on it.
According to this belief system, our biggest problem isn't what you see on the news. It's cosmic. The core idea is that for the last 200,000 years, Earth has basically been occupied territory, controlled by hostile extraterrestrial forces. This isn't just a side note in the story. It is the story. It's the central conflict that supposedly defines everything about our existence.
And it gets even deeper. The story goes that modern humans didn't just naturally evolve, we were engineered. The texts say we were genetically modified to be a slave race, built to serve these negative entities. And the prison they built for us isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's a system designed to lock our souls into a never-ending cycle of reincarnation, right here on this planet.
So the whole thing is framed as this huge battle between two opposing sides. On one side, you've got the Elohim, led by a figure they identify as Yahweh. They're described as judgmental, deceptive, and the ones who created humanity as a slave race. Their goal, keep things exactly as they are. And on the other side, you've got the Arcturians. They're compassionate, loving, and they're here to offer us a way out, a path to salvation.
And they really don't pull any punches when describing this conflict. The source material is incredibly blunt about it, even pulling in a quote attributed to an early Christian thinker, Marcion, to frame the God of the Old Testament as a vindictive psychopath, completely separate from a true, loving, universal creator.
So, if we're in this trap, why can't we just leave? The mechanism that keeps us stuck, according to the texts, is something called past life trauma. Think of it as spiritual baggage, all the unresolved pain and karma from hundreds or thousands of past lives that weighs us down. It's what keeps us coming back again and again, unable to break the cycle on our own. Okay, so if humanity is trapped, wounded, and under control, where's the hope? Well, in this story, help has arrived, and it's coming from the stars. Let's meet the guides on this path.
The first kind of help actually comes from within our own ranks. The idea is that star seeds are these incredibly brave souls from other, more advanced worlds who chose to be born here on Earth. They're kind of like spiritual secret agents, here to help raise the planet's energy and wake the rest of us up from the inside.
And then you have the main event, the Arcturians. They're presented as the primary benevolent force in this whole cosmic drama, a super-evolved, compassionate race that is actively working to help humanity break free and find spiritual salvation. They're the Calvary.
Now this is where the narrative really reframes a very familiar figure. Jesus Christ is identified here as Jatasia, an Arcturian savior. So in this version of events, he wasn't the son of Yahweh at all. In fact, he was an extraterrestrial being sent on a rescue mission specifically to oppose the God of the Old Testament and offer humanity a totally different path to freedom. And the sources point directly to the Bible itself as evidence for this. They take this quote from the Gospel of John and interpret it literally. When Jesus says he is not of this world, they take that to mean he's actually physically from the stars.
Okay, so we've got the epic backstory, we've got the heroes and the villains, but how does a regular person actually use this information to change their life? Well, that brings us to the practical, how-to part of the system, the Ascension Toolkit. At the very heart of this toolkit is a concept many of you have probably heard of, the universal law of attraction. It's presented as a law of physics, just like gravity. The idea is simple. Your thoughts and your feelings create a vibration, and that vibration goes out and attracts more of the same back to you, like a magnet.
So how do you actually use this law? The source material breaks it down into 4 basic steps. First, you have to decide exactly what you want, a clear intention. Second, you practice unconditional compassion for yourself and everyone else, which raises your energetic frequency. Third, you have to stay open to receiving what you've asked for. And finally, you have to live and feel as if it's already happened.
It's not all just thoughts and feelings, though. The toolkit includes some pretty specific, well, tools. A big one is the 528 Hz frequency. You might have heard it called the love frequency or miracle tone. It's believed to have the power to actually help repair and realign our DNA to a higher, more Arcturian frequency. It's basically a way to tune up your body for transformation.
A huge piece of the puzzle is reprogramming your own mind. This right here is a perfect example of an affirmation from the texts. The goal is to literally overwrite old, negative beliefs we all have, like "I'm not good enough," with new, empowering thoughts that are rooted in self-compassion.
And this is super important. This whole process isn't just about you. The idea is that every single person who does this work, who meditates, who uses affirmations, who practices compassion, is contributing to a much bigger planetary goal. You're helping to raise what they call the spiritual light quotient, and this collective shift in vibration is what's needed for the entire planet to evolve.
Okay, so after all the work, after using the toolkit and fighting the good fight, where does this path actually lead? What's the final destination?
The ultimate prize, the whole point of the journey, is ascension. This isn't just a metaphor. It's described as a literal shift to a higher state of being, a fifth-dimensional existence. And making that shift is what finally, once and for all, breaks you free from the reincarnation cycle and the prison of Earth.
What's really empowering about this is that ascension isn't seen as some unnatural, impossible task. This quote from one of the main source texts says it all. It's something your body already knows how to do. It's a hidden potential, a kind of spiritual software that's just waiting to be activated.
But what does this ascension actually look like on the other side? The sources seem to hint at two incredible possibilities. Is the goal a personal escape, where you get to be reborn into a new life on the beautiful planet of Arcturus? Or is it something even bigger? A massive, collective event where all of humanity and the Earth itself ascend together?
When you step back, what you have here is a system that takes ancient religious texts and weaves them into a modern space opera, complete with aliens, spiritual technology, and self-help techniques. And the question that leaves us with is, what does this amazing blend of old and new really tell us about our very human and very modern search for answers in a world that can often feel pretty confusing?